Welcome to our adventure book where we help you turn family travel dreams into unforgettable memories. We are your hosts, Jenny,
And I'm Eve.
and this podcast is designed to help take the stress out of family travel. We will talk travel tips, destinations, deep dives, and share our personal experiences. Let's get started.
Awesome. Welcome back. In today's episode, I'm excited to talk about this because sometimes we talk a lot about Disney, but we're also all about family planning and family travel. So we're going to actually get into some pros and cons of family vacation. Let's face it, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not perfect. We're not going to pretend that it is. So we're going to jump in, and each of us are going to give two pros and two cons. All right, let's get started. Okay. My first pro is that this is a memory making experience. You are giving the gift of experience to your family, and it is so worth it. Even when it doesn't go right, you're creating memories, getting out that you just can't do at home, and having funny things happen, having things go imperfectly, and you're going to be able to talk about that forever. So, just creating the memories are the things that they're going to remember, sometimes more than just the gifts that they give. Jenny, what's your first con?
So I'm going to go with a con. So we're going to go back and forth a little bit. And my first con of family travel is eating situations. If you have picky eaters in your family and you're traveling, it can be a little bit stressful making sure that you find a place that everyone can find something that they want to eat at. There's been many a times we stop at a restaurant and one of our kids isn't happy and then they're kind of grumpy and complaining. And so just trying to navigate that and not being at home with the regular foods your kids are used to, especially when they're younger. When they're older, they can adapt a little bit easier, but when they're younger, they really want those comfort foods, and not having those available, it's a big con.
Yes, and then sometimes they try something that maybe they never would have tried at home, so with kids, sometimes you just never know, right?
Yeah, you just kinda gotta ebb and flow with the eating situation. My best advice is to not let it stress you out. When we first started traveling, all 3 of my kids were fairly picky, and it would be a little bit stressful. So we would just try to find restaurants that had all different kinds of food instead of restaurants that had specialized food so that we knew at least someone could eat something, and I'm not even gonna lie, there have been time my kids have ate chips. Like, that's it, because that's all they wanna eat, and honestly, I don't even care. I'm just like, "If that's what you're gonna eat, that's what you're gonna eat."
Hey, make it a memory. Be like, "Remember
Yeah.
that one time we were in San Francisco and all you ate was chips for 3 days straight?"
Yes, yes. Alright, Eve, what's
That's
one of
funny.
your cons?
Okay, one of my cons is that it can be very expensive to travel, especially in today's climate. And, or if you have a big family, I have a family of six, Jenny has a family of five. Sometimes we travel multi generational. Those costs can add up. But I just want to encourage you to not let that stop you from making memories, that you can make trips, you can have vacations, you can do those different ways, getting away for a weekend, maybe just going for a day trip and going to visit a cavern somewhere or something like that. Looking at different options with prices on things. And then my biggest tip for that that's really helped us as a family is having a credit card where you have points. And so we don't have to pay for airline stuff quite as much. For example, last summer, our family of six flew to Oregon round trip. And with our credit card points, it only cost us $60 out of pocket. That would have been easily over $1,000, if not closer to two. So think about something like that. I know Jenny has a great credit card that has points for airlines. I have a credit card that does our airline miles, and then my husband has a credit card that does our hotels. So when we go and stay at hotels, almost anywhere, we're always staying on points. So don't let that stop you. Look at different ways that you can work within your budget so you can make those memories.
I totally agree. Okay, my first pro is trying new activities that you might not do at home. This is something that our family really prioritizes. A couple years ago, we went kayaking on a vacation, and that's something we would never do here. And my kids love kayaking now. So most of the time when we're traveling, I'm trying to see if there's opportunities for us to be able to go kayaking because that's something that they've associated with family vacation. So it's almost like we wouldn't even want to do it here. It's something we only do on vacation. And that can be hiking. It can be like a whole variety of things, riding bicycles through town. When you're in your hometown, you might not do these things, but when you're on vacation, it's really fun to do and it gives your kids a chance to try something new.
And it's so true, and sometimes they really look at that a different way. Like, if you're like, "Let's
Hmm.
go on a family bike ride in your neighborhood," most likely, when especially with some teenagers, you're gonna get some pushback, right?
Hmm.
But when we went to Canada, we went to Vancouver, we did the bike ride through Stanley Park, and out of our 2-week vacation, when we went up the Pacific Northwest, my kids say that was their favorite experience that we did for the whole, trip. So that's really cool. I love that you said that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be big grand things. It can be small things like renting bicycles for your family isn't going to be that expensive. And so it's just something fun that you can do that won't break the bank.
Love it. Awesome. Well, another one of my tips, my pros, is just basically having exposure to the world, opening up their point of view and their perspective. I think that really leads to appreciation of one, being able to travel with your family, two, seeing different cultures, trying different foods, maybe getting out to nature. Everybody in our family is different. Some of us love nature, some of us love the rides and the parks. So just giving exposure to different things so that they always have that to fall back onto, and hopefully they'll pass that on with their own families one day.
Yes, I totally agree. I think it's really fun just to show your kids, even if you're staying, you don't even have to travel around the world to expose your kids to different, cultures or just different ways people live. It can be in a different state. And it's just fun to see those things. My kids like to point out different restaurants that we don't have in Texas that we find in other states. They think that's so like funny.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so another one of my cons is when you are traveling as a family, there's a lot of closeness, which can lead to a lot of bickering. Especially when my kids were younger and we would all cram into the same hotel room. It caused for a lot of meltdowns, mostly later in the day when everyone's just kind of tired of being around each other. They're tired in general. And so it kind of left some of our evenings not so pleasant. And so, one way that we have kind of gotten around that is now, especially since my kids are older, we tend to rent Airbnbs instead of hotels just so everyone can have their own space. And being able to go lay in your own bed, just kind of take some time to yourself to unwind has made a world of a difference.
I totally agree. Sometimes just having those extra bedrooms where everyone can kind of when you have a lot of together time when you're on
Mhm.
vacation. So being able to have a little alone time for everyone is really nice.
Yeah, and don't let the bickering stop you from traveling as a family because your kids are going to fight at home. So at least if they fight on vacation, you're somewhere new. You have nice scenery while your kids are fighting. I mean,
And sometimes that's a memory that just the parents can, take away and be like,
yeah,
"Remember when this?"
yeah.
And
I mean, I definitely don't let it hold you back. I run into people who are like, well, my kids are too young and they fight all the time. I don't want to travel. And I'm like, why? They're going to fight at home.
Yeah, and you never
Like,
know, maybe just being somewhere different makes them bond in different ways.
yeah,
I've seen several of my kids get closer that they wouldn't do at home, but when they're traveling.
yeah, I agree.
Awesome. All right. One of my cons is just scheduling. Busy families, lots of sports, lots of activities, school. Um, I guess one of my tips would be like when you do have kids in elementary school, if you are able to travel with them, take advantage of that. It's just easier to get them out of school during that time. It gets a lot tougher when they get into high school and they're missing and then all that makeup work. And then they're just kind of not wanting to go as much during school or even on long weekends, I found with my kids because they're so busy in high school that getting away for a weekend, they'll say, "Can we just have some downtime on the weekend?" So scheduling can be a conflict, which because you and I are both planners, we kind of have our bucket list of trips, out for the next 10, 15 years. But looking at that and being like, when is an ideal time for my family to take this vacation? It might be in the summer. It might be, taking weather into consideration. For example, just yesterday, I was planning our road trip that we're doing this summer. And then I was like, okay, we're doing that, but man, I'd really love to go to a national park. So then suddenly I was Googling, parks. And then I was looking at Big Bend in Texas. And I was like, oh, we could go there in July. And then I do a little searching and I was like, do not go here in the summer. It is so hot. You will melt. And I was like, yeah, maybe we could go there in the fall. So just kind of planning ahead and thinking about scheduling with their activities, school, and then weather as well um, would be one of my tips.
Yes, for sure. It is hard to schedule because it is, especially when your kids are older, they can't miss. Like they literally cannot miss school. And I also just want to add here, do not be like feeling like you're being left behind when you see all these people traveling all year long. Like on social media, that's not really realistic for most people. Most people take one big vacation a year. So if you're at least just doing that, you are doing good. I mean, some people don't travel at all. So just at least finding a way to take that one vacation, no matter where you're going, I think you're doing great.
Agree.
Okay, my last pro is when you travel as a family, you will forever have conversation starters together. We talk all the time about our trips. Like, it's probably one of the most things that we talk about as a family, sitting at the dinner table, just riding in the car. I'll bring up when we went on this trip, what was your favorite moment? This trip, what was your least favorite moment? Where's your least favorite place we've ever traveled? And it's just really fun to talk about it. We bring up the funny moments. You really bond together as a family because you're going to have mishaps. We also like to plan future vacations. So we'll talk about where we've been, where we want to go as a family. And it's really funny to kind of discover your family's travel style. Some of my kids have very strong opinions about where we go, and other ones just really could care less. They're like, I'll go wherever you take me. So it's just really fun. You will bond forever. And by creating these travel memories and this bonding time together, I am hoping that when my kids become adults and have their own families, that they will still want to travel with my husband and I to because they've just like had these special moments as traveling with us. So I hope that carries on.
Yes, I bet it does. They'll
I
want your
hope so.
help. They'll want
They
you
will
to plan the
definitely
whole thing.
and probably pay for it.
Yes, exactly.
Which I'll probably be willing to do if they'll take me along. Okay, so moving into our next segment, our adventure book tips of the week. And today we are talking about choosing a time of year to travel. So, Eve, what's your tip for this?
I guess kind of went over a little bit in my last pro, but really it's finding what works for your family. Like Jenny said, don't let, keeping up with the Joneses take hold of you. Like what works for your family with little kids or preschoolers or but also knowing that sometimes you are going to have to plan in advance. Like if you're wanting to get into Yellowstone, for example, typically, you may not need to plan a year in advance to get in there. I found that out kind of the hard way, saying, "Oh, we're going to go do this," and looking a couple of months early. You never know. Sometimes you can get in, but finding the time of year that you can go. And I was like, "Oh, we're going to go in May." Wah, wah. I looked it up. It's super cold there then. Like you gotta figure out when to go the time of year. Like we're in Texas, we could pretty much do anything any time of the year. But when you go up into some place like Yellowstone, you gotta look when the park opens, when it closes for the season, if there's junior ranger programs available. And then if you can, go ahead and make those bookings as far out as possible.
Yeah, totally agree. So mine is to make sure when you choose a time of year that you're going to travel, that you have a realistic expectation of what that's going to look like for you. So, for example, currently the best time that I have 100% guarantee that my kids will be home from college and we'll all be together is during the winter holiday break. So, knowing that, I know that is the most expensive time to travel in the whole year because everybody in the world has off that, time frame. And so I've just set a budget knowing that I'm going to pay more in order for us to be able to travel together that time of year because even summer for us is really wishy-washy. So this is a guaranteed time that we can travel. This is when I will always plan our trip as of now. and I just know that it's gonna be more expensive, and I'm okay with that. So when I go book our flights, it's not necessarily a sticker shock, as compared to if we were traveling, say, in, like, September, which is a really off season.
Yeah. And I like how you talked about, like, having the expectations for that because it just, it shifts your perspective instead of being like something that we can't do, being like, well, maybe we just do this or we go a shorter time, amount of days or whatever. So,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
planning shorter trips is really smart in saving money because not only are you saving money on your room stay, food, I mean, everything, activities, buying souvenirs because my kids love to buy souvenirs. So you're just saving money if you do just take a shorter trip. And short trips are great because no one gets too tired. So it's easy to just kind of toss it in there and make it work. Make it anything work. If you have a chance to travel with your family, make it work.
Yes. Yes. Love it. All right. Awesome. Well, let's talk about some of our magical moments from traveling. So, what's one of your favorite memories? One of your magical moments?
So a moment that has like been burned into my brain that I will never forget is one of our first big family trips that we took. We went to San Francisco, and I was still fairly new at travel planning trips for us at this point, and so I didn't realize that you had to book certain things so far in advance, especially because we went in October, so it wasn't necessarily a high season of travel. And we wanted to go visit Alcatraz. Well, I did not buy the tickets online. And I went to go purchase them like 2 days before we left. They were already sold out for like weeks. I was shocked and devastated because this was one of our big things we were going to do. So we went over to the ticket center where we found out they will do waitlist tickets. So they had waitlist available for the nighttime tour. So you just showed up at the location because you have to take a ferry over there and you stand in this certain line. So we were the first in line, waiting, waiting, waiting. And then they opened the gates and they let everybody in the wait list on. And that was just such a magical moment because visiting Alcatraz at night is spooky. Like, it was so fun. My kids were pretty young. Like, my daughter just slept the whole time in her stroller. But just watching the boys walk around with their little headset tours, really like enthralled in everything, was so much fun. And then standing on the island looking back at San Francisco at night, I will never forget that.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't even think about doing that with the wait list and the night tour. And so it ended up being something special
Yeah, it would have
anyways.
been way better because I probably would have bought a day tour just because my kids were younger and I was like, it'll be too late. So it all worked out for the best.
Yeah, that's a super cool tour too. I love that one.
Yeah, it's fun.
Awesome.
What about you? What's a magical memory?
Well, one of my magical memories that just always comes to mind, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm wearing my Lake Crescent shirt from Olympic National Park. We went to Olympic National Park a couple of years ago. We did a Pacific Northwest trip, and I have vivid memories of going to Lake Crescent up there. We went into the lodge. We had an amazing, delicious dinner that we had gone on a hike and seen some waterfalls, and we were out in all the gorgeous trees, and everybody was just in a really good mood. And then we went out and we sat in the Adirondack chairs on the shores of Lake Crescent. That water is so cool and crisp. So we just basically had our feet right there in the water. And then the sun started setting and everybody just started skipping rocks. And I snapped a picture, and so the sun's going down, there's kinda, like, the mountains in the background, and they're all standing there kinda spaced out, the 4 kids and it's just their silhouettes, and we have a big one on our wall, my husband has one in his office. It's like our clear memory of just basically slowing down, being still, being in nature, being together, doing something as simple as skipping rocks over this gorgeous lake and just sitting in the chairs and relaxing together. It kind of encompasses everything for me. It's a memory that I will treasure forever.
That's so sweet. And I love when the moments you least expect become like your favorite moments on a trip. That's the
Yeah, I
best.
definitely did not have skipping rocks at Lake Crescent
Yeah.
in my Google Doc.
I know, but those are, and it's so funny, like, those are the moments your kids remember, the little things that you didn't have planned out. Those end up being the best memories.
Yes, which again is just another reason to take the trip.
Absolutely. Okay, so thank you so much for watching or listening today. We hope you enjoy the show. Make sure that you are following us wherever you choose to listen or watch us so you always stay up to date when a new episode comes out. New episodes drop every Wednesday. If you are enjoying the show, we would love if you left a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. It just will help the show grow. Share with any of your travel friends. If you have friends who are scared to travel with their family, they have little kids, please share the show. We will be doing episodes on traveling with little kids and how that looks. We just have so much fun things planned. Also, make sure that you follow us on our new Instagram page. Eve, what's the name of our page?
It's called Our Adventure Book Travel,
Perfect.
and it's got a picture of
It,
us on there so you can see it.
yeah, so you can see us. We'll be posting updates for travel, updates on the podcast, and we have a lot of stuff planned. So make sure you're following us.
Yes, thank you again for joining us. Join us every Wednesday for a new episode, and remember, the best stories are the ones you live together.